Hello everyone, thanks to the power of the internet, I get to talk with you all. And do you know what occurred to me? I just haven't done a normal deck list in a while. I haven't opened Vang Pro in some time now. That updating it took a long time. So just to get back into the groove with things, I did a fun little deck out of my wheelhouse a little bit under Keter Sanctuary. But with Festival Booster coming out soon, I thought I'd show you one of the decks that come in it. Of course, I'm talking none other than the King of KnightsAlfred. Now, I might not be a Keter fan, but this was definitely the guy I loved the most. I thought he was just so cool. And as I played Royal Paladin from Trial Deck 1 a long time ago, I feel old, I always thought it would be best to just go over him now. Of course, I love his effect. It's so reminiscent of the OG effect. First, during your turn, this card cannot be boosted. And I love that. That's the OG's effect. Because it gets plus 2k for each of your rear guards, guys. It can get to 20k. But now, because everything has been standardized, he's a 13k base, meaning you can get to a higher number without it. You can get to 23k, which is actually kind of annoying. But they've added to it. If you get 8k or more and your opponent is a grade 3 or greater, you get crit. And Blaster Blade has to be in your soul for this to be activated. And the 2k. Which is fine, because a ride deck now exists, so you don't have to play multiple Blaster Blades. You can literally be Aichi. You have the one. But there's more. Taking fact of energy existing, you can now Energy Blast 3 to search your deck for one grade 3 or less Royal Paladin, and call it to rear, shuffle your deck, and then you get a really cool effect. You get to choose one of the autos, and until the end of the turn, the cost is reduced by 1 CB. This is more for the fact you're supposed to be calling Blaster Blade off of this, get a free retire. He's not in this deck, and I'll tell you why. There are two other things that are replacing him. And also, I love the fact it's still 3, because that used to be CB3, damn it. But he has one last effect. This one's really fun. When this unit attacks CB1, choose one of your rear guards that is only Royal Paladin. If you look in this deck, there's only 2 playsets that apply to this, and you stand it. If your opponent is grade 3 or greater, you get to choose 2 and stand them. Now, we'll go over the main deck in a little bit, but let's go over the ride line again. We have Blaster Blade to enable, all of the effects of our King of KnightsAlfred. When it's placed on Vanguard, obligated CB1, choose one of your opponent's rear guard and retire it. But you also get the added addition: if you didn't retire anything, draw a card. This should never really see place on rear, but if you do, it still has that CB1 retire. Now you don't get a draw, and it can only be a grade 2 or greater. I'm not running the full, Royal Paladin line, because I just think the strongest thing is the more generic line of Aldens, where you just reveal 3 different grades, look at top 5, choose one, call it. I think that's really good. And if you don't want to call it something because you are just flushed with triggers, you can call this instead. And because Alfred can't be boosted, you can either just call this to behind him to boost your Vanguard for bigger numbers early game, and then you don't have to care about him ever again because he's behind Vanguard. He's doing his job of just giving 2k to the Vanguard by existing, leaving your rear guards, what you really want to pay attention to, alone. Or if you really want to rush, it's a free AK body, throw it on. And just because I'm a little biased, we have Wingle Brave, just to get that full Royal Paladin feel. Going over to the main deck, of course, we have 3 Persona rides. Now, one of your other, Royal Paladins is Virgilla. Because this isn't Virgilla, this is Soul Saver Dragon. Woohoo! During your turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Alfred, which you should, this gets 5k. But also, if your opponent is grade 3 or greater, Note how a lot of these effects will say that. In the front row, at the beginning of battle, you can CB1, choose 3 of your units, get 5. Hey, that's basically the Soul Blast and Counter Blast of the original Soul Saver. But if you Persona, you just choose all your units to get 5k. This can be good to push numbers, but also at the end of the day, you don't really need to do that for a Persona, because that's only basically choosing 4 units instead of 3, so there's not a big gain of value there because Alfred can't be boosted. However, the more important thing of this card, when it attacks, if it was stood by your Vanguard and no rear guard has performed a drive check, you Soul Blast out a King of Knights Alfred, and you now get a drive check with this card, meaning your Persona ride turns can be pretty damn nasty because of just how many rear guards you can check. I mean drives. Rear guard. Just for more consistency, because we are only playing, a very few amount of Royal Paladins, and to get Personas back in the game and some other generics, we have Lyle. This is just because on place, you get a free unit. It just happens. But also you can CB, look at top 5, and either call one, or you can add a, order without Regalia into hand. We're not playing a lot of them. We're only playing a Regalia, so you won't be doing that. This would just be more for top deck call. Just because I feel this deck lacks a little bit of shield, we just have a Persona shield generator. You can call this out too, just for a little extra oomph for your hand size. But for the most part, it's your discard target. Whoa, it's 0 from the manga. But no, this is Knight of Silence Galatine. Basically, if you have a Vanguard with only Royal Paladin, the following cost can be paid with EB3 instead of Counterblast 1 when it's placed on rear. And you have no other name of Starry Night 0 or Knight of Silence Galatine. CB1 draw. So note, if you call this off of Alfred's EB3, you get a free draw. If this is the auto you decide, can be free. I also probably should have noted, Virgilia is the same thing because it's the auto, so if you really want, you don't have to pay the CB for that drive check. But going on, this thing has a really fun once per turn. Guess what it is? When this unit attacks, if you have a Royal Paladin Vanguard, you Persona Road. This stood by effect. CB1. Your opponent cannot activate the autos of their cards until end of battle. That's just a blanketed statement. What has a really strong auto effect, one might think, to guarantee they don't get hit? Yep. This also affects things like... Oh, it's a continuous. Never mind. But yeah, turning off autos, hella strong. Also being released in Festival, we have the Ace unit. I'm not going to say his name. I might bite my tongue. But when it is placed on rear, other than during the battle phase, it gets 5k. You can Energy Blast 3, look at the top 7, choose a normal unit, less than or equal to your Vanguard's grade, call it a rear. Hey, guess what? It also, continuous. This unit cannot be chosen by your opponent's card ability or retired by your opponent's card ability. And then shuffle the deck because you called something off of it, so the rear guard can't be touched. And you got a free one. That's its H unit that it can ability that it can only use once. Outside of that, when it attacks a grade 3 or greater, it gets plus 5k. If you have 4 or more rear guards, which you should with Alfred, plus 5k. So not only does this thing help the game plan of just calling a unit out for Energy Blast 3, it also gives it basically resist, and then outside of that, it's just a 20k beater. 25 when it uses its ability. Sentinels, because Sentinels. Whoa! Dog, because Dog is just broken, feeds your soul, hand, and lets you look at top deck. This thing. Oh god, I love Cocoa. Battle Sisters was one of my favorite archetypes in the beginning. I love this thing. But now it's only better when this unit is placed on rear. Put a card from hand into soul. So it's paying some of the soul cost blast for, you know, these tickets if you want them. And also one other card we're going to show after this. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose a card from among them. Put it in hand, put the rest on top of the deck, or into soul. Meaning, if you want to draw it, put it on top. If it's a trigger, put it on top. If not, get rid of it. And this thing gets power plus 5k. But also, if your opponent is a grade 3 or greater, and checked, opponent drive checked or damage checked a trigger, this thing gets an additional 5k power or 5k shield. Meaning it's a 15k guard, or this thing becomes a massive 23k booster if your opponent hits a defensive. That's insane. I love you, Cocoa. Dissection Angel is another new one. I'm pretty sure it is also coming out in Festival, but these are one of the fusion cards, which is just Angel. I actually don't know where the countercharge one comes from, but this thing is insane. At the end of the turn, it boost, CB1, retire, draw. That's good, but hey, also, it has a once per turn, because if you know, you can go through a lot of counterblast in this deck. Well, when your drive check reveals a trigger, you can Soul Blast 2 and then countercharge 1, and then she gets 5k. So don't forget, you can just do both of those. And if your opponent Vanguard is a grade 3, she also just gets another 2k. Meaning she's a 15k booster that draws you a card and countercharges. I hate this game. That's so good. And then also Fire Regalia, because it's a free discard going for your ride and a free call whenever. So you can also just discard this off of Sentinels and call it a day. Like, if you also really want to, if you see it off of Cocoa, throw it into Soul, Soul Blast it out for, you know, Angel, and use it next turn to call a free unit. Going off of trigger lineup to really take advantage of your Knight of Silent Galatine, aka Zero, I threw in a red OT. I just like restanding and causing inconveniences for your opponent, because once again, even though it's a once per turn, you get the first check, and then they can't auto. And then even if that doesn't kill them, it restands and then swings again, which will most likely get the PG out, but hey. Red OT, just because restanding pressure, and even if you don't choose something, draw a card. And you should always have something standing, because you basically get 3 drive checks. 2 off of Alfred and 1 off of Virgilla, which always leaves your Knight of Silence 0 out. And hey, don't forget, Alfred stands too, so you get a swing with these and then keep standing. It's just multi-attack deck at that point. And because of that, I did my my staple of 4 fronts. I love just doing 4 fronts. No one ever expects it. Everyone, for the most part, will think 3 fronts, 8 crits. What can I say? And I also joined the extra shield. I just like the extra pressure. Of course, we got crits, who could have guessed, and heals. So give me a moment, and we can just do a test hand with this, show it off a little bit. And already, this is already a pretty good hand. Like, we're going to throw back a 0. We can keep the crit if we want, though I do appreciate just getting a lot of CB early on. Alright, we'll throw that back these 2 and hopefully don't get punished. I need to just stop mulliganing. That's, at the end of the day, that's what has to happen, I guess. Alright, we're gonna discard that for ride. Hey, look, we got a grade 1. We're gonna pass it off to our opponent. We are going to take 1. Cocoa, no. Draw. Beautiful. So, to really get the most of this, we need to show off 3 for Tart. So, we do got to get rid of the trigger. I would have enjoyed keeping it, but we are now going to ride the Blaster of the Blade. 2 effects. We're going to reveal that we have A1, A2, and A3. So bring those back to hand. So we get to draw one. Cocoa. Cocoa. Oh, I love that. That's so good. I'm actually going to save that for a later turn, because right now we're also going to CB off of Blaster Blade to get incredibly more greedy, to draw another card into our persona. Hey, guess what? There's no reason not to. Because go into battle, at this point, I have more units, so we are going to get power +5, dog's going to be active, crit, you know, all effects, they're going to take 2, end of turn, retire. We are going to look at the top 2. At this point, I don't really think we need Dissection Angel, so I think we're honestly going to add Lyle to hand and bot deck Angel. Our opponent's turn, let's say we take 2. Our ace, not too bad. Heal 1 because they were only at 2. Our turn, stand and draw. We're going to discard Soul Blast 1 out. It's under function, Persona Shield. And then we ride into Alfred. Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. So at the moment, he won't get the crit. He's not getting any +2k because we do not have a field. But we do have 6 energy. So there's a lot we can actually do, especially also with 2 Counterblast. So first, let's actually Energy Blast 3 off of Alfred, and we can go through our deck just to grab a grade 3 or less with only Royal Paladin. Which at this moment, I want to be incredibly greedy with my draws. So we are going to call a Starry Night 0, which we then choose his auto, you know, his first one. If we only have a Vanguard with Royal Paladin, we don't need to EB3. I want to save some of that. So we're going to just make that CB cost 1 less, meaning it's free, so we're going to draw a card off of that. It's a crit trigger, whatever. So now we can do a few more things, like I am going to call Lyle to once again. We have choices. I can either throw Dog back for a top search, but just because I have 1 on board, 1 in field, leaving there's only 1 in deck, we're going to throw 0 at the bottom of the deck. Just for a future call target, and then I can CB1, look at top 5, get a free call. Sometimes I should just drive check. Alright, so we are going to call Dissection Angel. My opponent is not a grade 3, so it doesn't get the 2k, but I can Soul Blast and retire to draw yet another card. And just to push my advantage a little bit further, we are going to call Cocoa. So, when this unit is placed, put a card from hand into Soul. Like I said, this is why we put a 0 back. So we're going to throw that into Soul. We could do the Persona Shield, just because... never mind. No, we couldn't. Now we got to look at top 2. Choose a card from among them, put it into hand, put the rest on the top, or into Soul. And then this will get 5k. So, look at top 2 again. Alright, sometimes I should just drive check. I think that's honestly the solution. But yeah. We'll leave that on top deck. So I really don't want to commit anything else. So Alfred is going to gain 2 for every rearguard, so 2, 4, 6, 8. Huh. So plus 5. And then plus 3. So we got a pretty good board established, and then of course we can choose one of our rearguards with only Royal Paladin and stand it. So, meaning when we enter battle, this is going to be 10 to 10, because once again, I only get the 5k if my opponent is a grade 3 or greater. And, you know, I would have gotten 10k instead of plus 5, but once again, my opponent's a grade 2. So now we are going to swing with Alfred, and when this unit attacks, CB1, stand. Now I get my crit. Let's say they just said no guard, because they're at 2. So we can have a few options. Because there is one side up 23, it will still hit if our opponent got a defensive, however, this side will not. So increase crit. Oh, and a front trigger. This is such a great turn. So let's say our opponent goes to 4. And look, even if they hit a defensive, we have this. But once again, not grade 3. Or else this would have gotten so massive. No, over there, over there. Swing big, just to get any guard out if they have it. Swing another. We don't have to activate... Oh, we could actually activate the once per turn, because we revealed a trigger. It's all what we want to do. So we can either Soul Blast 2 to countercharge 1, which I am more of a fan of, or we can retire her, Soul Blast 1, draw a card. Because I don't think we need to draw a card, I'm going to throw these 2 to drop. If it was a prison matchup, I would never, because we need Blaster Blade. So this actually would have been 5k bigger. That's my bad. But that is just a general first turn. I'm at 2 damage. I still can use free off of this. I can intercept with these freely because I'm going to call another one, you know, another 0 off of Alfred's effect. I'll have a rear checker and I'll have a Persona Ride. And I got shield for days. You know, I mean, I only have 1 sentinel, so oops. But what? Even if we don't include the over trigger, that's 10, 15, 30, 45, 60, 80, yeah, 90k guard, casually. And then we just get a board back for free. My Vanguard will be 2 crit anyway, most likely plus 10 if I decide to throw something in the back row over there. But honestly, I think Alfred is a really good deck. Bringing up the deck list just one more time for y'all to look at. You know, it might not be anything meta contender, but it can definitely show up. It can definitely win events. Like I said in the very beginning, I'm not a Keter player, so this deck probably has a few rough edges you can, you know, polish out. So I'm just giving you an outline, what I think is really good. But, you know, let me know what you think. Let me know what other deck list I should just go over. I want to show off more. I want to play with Bang Pro more. And if you have made it past my ramblings, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.